Hey, what's going on here? I finished this series. I played through every Spider-Man game. What more do you want from me?
Hey, who turned off the lights?
Oh no.
So now we're doing Batman. Everyone knows this guy. Created in 1939 by this guy, Bob Kane. Over the years, evidence has suggested that Kane wasn't as solely responsible as we once thought he was, but I'm not here to discuss that. I'm here to look back on every Batman video game. So, without further ado, let's check out Batman for the ZS Spectrum. Okay, so if we just jump right into this game with no prior knowledge, what do we have here? Well, just by first impressions, we have a fat Batman, 8 lives, 0 pieces of string, 0 crowns, 0 flash symbols, a box, a jetpack, a grand piano, and a pair of boots.
Well, it wouldn't be a Batman game without his classic steel-toe boots.
Another thing you'll notice right away is every time you move, you hear this noise. Alright, that's officially canon. Anytime Batman moves, that's all I'm gonna hear. This game's pretty complicated for our first one. Remember how charming the first Spider-Man game was? Now I'm playing a game where I need a map and a tour guide in order to beat it. The game isn't actually that complex, it just has a lot of rooms. 150 to be exact.
150 rooms? That's a little excessive, don't you think? This game came out in 1986.
The only thing you really need to understand is 1, get all the gadgets, and 2, everything kills you. These things kill you, these things kill you, these things kill you, the walls kill you in this level, the floor kills you in this level, the tiles kill you in this level, everything kills you! There is no way to fight back, you have to just avoid them. Alright, I do have a confession to make though. I couldn't beat this game. The main mechanic is the gadgets. Getting the boots lets you jump, the bat belt lets you have low gravity, the thrusters allow you to move in the air, so on and so forth. So as I'm collecting parts, when we come to this point in the game, you have to push this bubble against the wall, and then you have to platform over. Believe it or not, but platforming in a game from 1986 isn't very good. I tried so many times, but I could never make it over. So that's why I didn't beat the game. Honestly though, I think we saw most of what the game had to offer. I don't think the room after this one was gonna have a ton of new features. So going off just what I played, I'm gonna give this game 5 batarangs out of 10.
Well, that was a odd start to our journey. I mean, every series has its start, and I guess that was Batman, so let's just move past it and call it a classic. Our next game we're going to be playing is Batman the Caped Crusader for the Commodore 64.
This is the first thing that comes up when you start the game? It asks if you're a cheater.
Well, there was that one time in Vegas.
So because I'm a bad boy, I put Y for yes. I assumed the game would make fun of me or something, but it just started like normal. That's a little anticlimactic. So what even is this game? Well, that's the question I'm still trying to figure out myself. At first glance, it seems just like an adventure game, but it's really more of a puzzle game. I don't really think that was the intention, but because of the limitations of 1988, it had to be. Apparently they couldn't fit in any instructions. Like, seriously, what am I supposed to do in this game? I go and pick up an item, and it's a false nose. What? So it turns out you have to go around solving little puzzles like fixing this computer. In the first screen of the game, it says insert the disc. So you have to go around picking up items trying to find the disc. Also, side thing, each screen is made to look like a comic panel. It can get a little confusing when you get further into the game, but it does have some charm. But anyways, you find the disc and go back to the computer room. Open your inventory, and whoa.
You okay, Batman? What's wrong? Is there someone behind me?
This is an extremely confusing inventory screen, but again, 1988. So you have to click on the disc, then click on the hand on the very far right, and then a yellow bat appears and you go back to the game. Now it says the computer is out of order, so naturally you have to go around and find the toolkit. The game is actually pretty big and can become a real maze with all the similar looking rooms. Now once you find the toolkit, you have to go back to the computer and use the toolkit, and then you can start the real mission.
Move over, Batman! Whoever solved this game without the internet is the true world's best detective.
So once you've seen that puzzle, you've really seen the rest of the game. The only other thing I want to bring up is the combat. In order to punch, you have to be moving. Like, you can't just stand still and punch. Also, these guys are invincible. No, that's not a joke. They actually can't die. When I started to realize that, I noticed that I couldn't die either. And when I checked my health, sure enough, I was at 100%. So my theory is that when it asked me if I was a cheater in the beginning of the game, it was asking me if I wanted to turn on cheats. Seems like they could have been a little more clear on that. Well, I did end up beating the game, and anticlimactic is an understatement. You go up to a computer, and believe it or not, use an item, and that's game. This game had little to no redeeming factors, aside from the comic book style paneling. So my final score will be 3 shocked Batmans out of 10.
Alright, just one more game. Will this be the game that redeems the whole episode? Survey says... What?
So this is Batman for the Commodore 64. Yeah, get used to the title of these games being just Batman, because apparently the guys whose job it was to make the titles took a lunch and never came back. To be fair to this game though, this is supposed to be the video game adaptation of the 1989 movie Batman. You can tell by the opening scene, which looks pretty impressive. So let's actually start playing the game and see what it's all about. Damn, talk about sink or swim! Before you even get a chance to play around with the controls, you have a gun to your head. That being said, there really is only 2 controls, move and action. And those 2 moves can be combined. If you're moving left and right and press action, you attack. I'm not exactly sure what you're attacking with though. It looks like he's throwing a rock or... a McNugget. Yeah, that's a McNugget. Why is Batman throwing McNuggets? Why not a Batarang or something? At least when you press up and hold the action button, you use a normal grappling hook. It's actually pretty fun to use too, and it adds another element to the game. And the further you get, the more swinging and platforming you have to do. It controls pretty well, and after a little getting used to, it was one of the more fun parts of the game. The combat is the least fun. It's not exactly bad, just pretty bland. You can only throw your nuggies in a straight line, while the enemies can shoot left, right, or diagonally. Oh, and apparently Joker hired every quarterback in Gotham and gave them hand grenades to throw at Batman. These guys have cannon for arms and they never miss. Besides that, the combat is pretty dull. There's only really 2 enemy types, the hand grenade and the shooters. But they pile up on you and it can get pretty difficult at times. The health meter is represented by Batman. The more damage you take, the more it starts to become the Joker. Doesn't really make sense, but it looks pretty cool and creepy, so I'll give it a pass. You get 3 lives and there is mid-level checkpoints, so it's mostly fair. But sometimes they send out the National Guard and it's almost impossible to defend yourself. Once you lose your 3rd life, the game just kinda shuts off. Like, this isn't edited or anything, it just stays at a black screen. Should I turn it off and back on? Is it really broken?
Jesus Christ, you scared the f***ing shit out of me!
This scared the hell out of me. Like 20 seconds of nothing and then this jump scare? Also, they didn't even get the quote right. It's, "You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?" I know that's nitpicking, but it's one sentence they had to get right. This is such a creepy game over screen. After this, it just shoots you right back to the main menu like you didn't just get scarred for life. Once we get back into the game, the level's a pretty good length. It took me about 10 minutes to run through. At the end of the level, you hit a guy who then falls into acid. Text appears saying Jack is dead, the Joker lives. So, I guess Batman is responsible for the Joker, but we already had the Joker at the bottom of the screen here. It's better just not to think of it. So now we insert disc 2 and we get to drive the Batmobile. I was very impressed by this. The 3D looks good and it controls great. You have to avoid cars and use your grappling hook to grab onto street lamps to make turns. It's pretty fun for a little bit, but the level just drags on and on. How many turns could there possibly be to get to wherever we're going? Still though, I gotta say, this was definitely a good shake-up from the normal gameplay, and I was very impressed by it overall. Once we get to the Batcave, we find out that we are running from the Joker. I don't know, Batman, you didn't seem like too big of a threat back there. And now we're at this scene. No instructions, no hints, not even an explanation of what we're doing here. Just a disembodied hand and a bunch of household items. It turns out that this is a puzzle, and we have to find out which items make up the Joker's gas. I still don't know how you're supposed to figure this out, so I just looked online and got the answer. Here it is, maybe you can tell me what it means. Now we get to fly the Batwing. Again, very impressed. It looks great, the controls are even better than the Batmobile, and the Bat Shadow on the ground is a really nice touch. In this part of the game, we have to use our wings to cut balloon strings.
Oh yeah, balloon strings, cool. That's, yeah. Is there anything else? No? Oh, Cool, cool, cool.
So yeah, we're just cutting strings. No other enemies or obstacles, just cutting a lot of balloons. And if you thought the driving section was long, oh man, you have to cut 100 strings. Once we beat that, we have to pop back in this one, and we're now scaling a cathedral, chasing the Joker. The level is pretty similar to the first one, except it's more vertical than horizontal, and you do a lot more swinging and platforming. Once you get to the top, Joker is climbing up a ladder, and you have to hit him with your grappling hook.
I'm gonna go.
So the Joker is dead, and that's game. This one was actually pretty fun. The combat could have been better, and the driving sections really did drag on, but I really like the ideas in this game, and I had a good time playing it. Graphics were good, controls were surprisingly nice, and it had various types of gameplay. With all of that considered, I'm gonna give this game 7 Jokers out of 10.
Alright, 3 down. First episode done. Honestly, I think we're having a little bit better of a start than the Spider-Man games, but to be fair, this did come out a couple years after the original Spider-Man games. So, overall, I'd say we're doing good. We're gonna get there. I know, these first ones are pretty rough. And hey, we only got like 20 more to go now.
Actually, Hunter, there's like 40 of them.
There's how many?